I'm really excited for this project. This is an idea I've had in my head for a long time. It's really more of an idea for a router jig, or a family of router jigs, and then what could you make with that jig? And what you can make is a Torus table. This is really beyond my SketchUp skills, so the best model I can give you is a bagel with the sides cut off. If you ate out the middle and just left the crust, that's sort of what we're going for here. I was able to get pretty close to a model for the top and bottom. The router jig idea really comes from thinking about the way you would use a router to flatten something, like a cutting board or a workbench top. You use two flat rails and a flat platform that the router rides on to create a flat surface. What happens if those rails aren't flat? What if they're curved? You'd make a curved surface. But for the top, it's only going to be a curve in one dimension, but we're doing it in a circle, a big circle. The jig itself is pretty simple, curved on both edges because I'm routing on both surfaces of the panel. So the jig is going to get flipped over, and the curved section of the rails needs to be longer than the area that you're going to be routing. So you need an extra half the width of your router base on each end. The jig is entirely put together with screws without any glue, because when I flip it over I need to reconfigure everything. And the router just gets a square subbase. And for the concave side, that's all we need. But when we flip it over for the convex side, the router would wobble if we didn't add some little strips on each end. We need something to hold up the far end of the jig. So I needed a 66-inch diameter ring. I made the ring out of 3/4 inch MDF. From one 2-foot by 4-foot piece of MDF, I was able to get almost 6 full quarters of a circle. That was enough to give me one full circle plus enough support underneath it to create some overlapping joints that I could screw together. And cutting this out, it doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be flat. Making the ring is simple enough, if a little bit awkward putting it together, but supporting it is a little bit tricky. It has to be shimmed all around to be level with the surface. At first I tried sliding the router along the jig, and it wasn't moving smoothly. And it also involved a lot of reaching as far as I could reach, which wasn't going to be great for the back. So I decided the better approach was to clamp the router in place. I improvised a little clamp that would hook to the underside of the platform. You can't use that on the first couple of passes, so a clamp across the rails works just as well. And once you have everything set up, the actual routing is really easy. It's just time-consuming, and it makes a tremendous mess. I did the math, and routing out these two panels created 46 pounds of sawdust and chips that were everywhere. The router bit I'm using is a 1/2 inch extra long bit. I think it's a little bit over 4 inches long. You might think that using a larger bit would let you make passes that are farther apart and make it go faster. But on the concave side, the wider the bit is, the more material it's going to be cutting into that it's not supposed to, because the end of the bit isn't curved. And on the convex side, the farther apart your passes are, the worse the approximation of the curve it's going to be. So you really can't win unless you're grinding the end of the bit to match the curve. realizing that in order to get the curvature I want in the sides in 2 dimensions, my side panels need to be thicker than this. Still don't know what I'm doing in the middle, but I'm pretty sure I don't have enough wood to do whatever I'm going to do. So I think I'm going to recycle these side panels for the center and get some thicker wood to do the sides. Do what you gotta do. So that's going to be it for part 1.